I didn't write the phrase "a chance in the world." That was the prediction of a babysitter who met me at 1.5 years old and saw the very dire situation that I was in the midst of, with a mother who was also in the middle of a losing battle with alcoholism, and he saw the desperateness of the situation, my unwillingness to leave her, and the uncertainty that he knew I was in and I would continue to be in. And he is the one who said, "This little boy doesn't have a chance in the world." I was taken from her a year after that prediction and off into the foster care system I went. I remember this particular summer day because this day was going to be the day that I found a home. And I remember getting up that morning and realizing that at the end of this day, I'm going to have a real mommy and a real daddy, which had been my childhood dream. But as the day unfolds and I associated the visits to each of the houses that we made with the opening and closing of the car door. So every time the car door opened, I would go see someone, and every time it closed, I knew that we were going to see somebody else. And so by the end of the day, it's clear to me that this dream I have of finding a home is not going to happen on that day. And the fact of the matter is it didn't happen on any other day either. You know, at the end of that day, I remember asking the social worker, I said, why is this so hard? And I remember what she said. She said, "Well, Steve, it's because we don't know if you belong with a white family or a black family," which confused me. Because at that age, about the only thing I'd experienced in the way of color was a box of crayons. And so I thought, now why does it matter what color the house is painted? If there's a mommy or daddy there, then that will be home to me. And I always thought, what others see as courage, I thought the failure, the inability to share my story, to inspire those young men at that table, would have been the ultimate betrayal. It was as if I'm saying to the universe, "You've given me a victory, and I'm going to hold that victory to myself. And I'm going to stand in front of you with a nice suit on and a nice title and let you think somehow that I'm here because of my own individuality and my own unique strength." And nothing's further from the truth. My father was also a very strong man, but his path and his life went down a different road. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing unique about me. Boys, there's nothing I haven't done that you cannot do, that you, James, cannot do. Healing for me came in the form of something that I still have today, and that was reading. I loved to read. I still love to read. I would get my hands on any books, anything, and I would read it over and over again because the family would never let me get new books. They wouldn't go to the library and bring me something new to read. And so I dove into my books, and I would take any little bit of anything I saw, and it would become my life's philosophy. So when I read Watership Down, the great classic by Richard Adams, and he says, these rabbits who have lost home and are trying to find home, he says they fight. They fight. So that's what I thought I would do. I would fight. And when I read Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, and he says, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Every darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those are the things that stayed with you, that meant something to you, even if you were too young to understand why. But I think I know now. People in those stories had opportunities to turn back, but they didn't. They pushed forward because they were holding on to something, that there is some goodness in the land. So when I read that, I would try to find goodness in the land. And I still think of people that way. I think of One Hope United that way, that there's goodness in the land. There was a knock at the door, and I heard somebody call me by name. And as the boys will tell you, as James will tell you, it's very important to use people's names. That means you have significance and importance. So she says, is Steve there? Now, truth be told, I was eavesdropping, so I came around the corner really quick. And now I can see who these feet belong to, and it's actually a very small woman. She has something in her arms, and I'm trying to get on my tippy toes so I can see what's in it. She sees my struggle, and she lowers it. And in this box she was holding were bunches and bunches of books that she not only brought me that day, but would bring me many, many days thereafter. Most times I never saw her. I simply saw the box of books on the porch. And I knew two things: that she had been there, and that she saw something in me that no one else saw. And so I can tell you all these years later that I had her name exactly right. It was indeed Mrs. Levin, Claire Levin to be exact. Today she is 80 years old. She had remembered me, she had remembered bringing me books, but she never realized how important, how therapeutic, how helpful they were to me. Can you imagine at 80 years old, something that you did years ago, all of a sudden comes back and somebody says, thank you for what you did? That is the poetry of life. Without her, I'd be hard-pressed to tell you that I'd be standing here. We sometimes say that it just takes one person. That's not true. It takes one interaction, one moment that says you have significance, you have value, you are important. And I'll never know what it's like to have a mother's love and a father's love. It's the reality of what I experienced. So I look for family and home in places that you can't quite imagine. So even though I haven't met the majority of you, I know the spirit that's here. I know what you're trying to do. I know what you are doing. But most importantly, I know something maybe that you don't. I know how it ends. And it ends with somebody just like me many years from now who says it's because of what you did, it's because of what you donated, it's because of the time you gave, it's because you saw a possibility that I'm here. That's what you're going to do. And that is a blessing.